101, so we're starting pretty much right on the button, so we're pretty proud of that. My name is Ray Letts. I'm with Citizens Oversight and the Coalition to Decommission San Onofre, or CDSO. And we are actually a party in the proceedings up at the CPUC, usually held at the headquarters in San Francisco. And so we're actually arguing the case with witnesses that are under oath and so forth. So some of us are not going to be able to speak here today. The meeting here is for the public to come out and talk to the California Public Utilities Commission about this blunder that Southern California Edison made with the nuclear reactors up at San Onofre. They put in the steam generators and they both failed immediately within 2 years, and one only 11 months into service. And the amazing thing is that Southern California Edison now wants us to pay for these as if they worked fine for 20 to 40 years and there was no problem. And so we're working hard, and we hope that the public will also voice their opinions about why this is just a ridiculous notion. If someone says, look, we have the capability to put in this nuclear reactor, it's going to cost $768 billion, almost $1 billion, and all told it's probably been a lot more than that. Then if they have failed to do it, I don't think the public should still have to pay for the $768 million plus all the other costs. This should be up to the shareholders to pay for. The shareholders put their money in these organizations, and the reason they get a return on their investment is because they're taking a risk. Sometimes that risk means that the project goes south, and that's what happened in this case. They want to take no risk at all, still make all of their money, and have the public take all of the risk. And that's what we're here to say no to. So they're going to have two sessions today, one from 2 to 5 p.m. and another one from, 6 to 8? 6:30 to 8:30. And the public is invited to come here and tell them, we hope the public will see it our way, and say that Southern California Edison should pay for the blunder that they made, and the ratepayer, you and I, that have to pay our electric bills, and we have no choice in the matter, we have to go to SDG&E or Southern California Edison and pay these bills. We don't have a choice. And so we have to put our foot down and say, no, you don't get to make the profit on this that you wanted to begin with, because you blew it. That's what it comes down to. You break it, you buy it, is our message today. One more thing I want to say before I ask a couple of other people to come up. The Coalition to Decommission San Onofre is proposing to the CPUC that they establish a citizens oversight panel to oversee the entire decommissioning process. We're talking about around $4 billion in this fund. This is when the wolves come out. The wolves that are ready, that are experts at drawing money out of these funds, they're going to come to the party. And we need a citizen panel there to watch every single dollar that's spent and make sure it's spent wisely and that there's no waste, fraud, and abuse that goes on. That's our proposal. They don't usually do this. High school boards, hospital boards, they all do it now because they know the public wants this kind of oversight. California Public Utilities Commission doesn't do it yet, so we're asking them to start and make this a flagship project where they will do it this way. So I'd like to ask a gentleman to come up who is representing the Sierra Club of Los Angeles County. He's been a big help in our project. His name is Glenn Pascal. Come on up, Glenn.
Thank you, Ray. Ray has done a great job of covering the two big issues. One is the risk and reward in our free market economy. When something goes wrong, do the investors participate in that risk? Yes, they do, if they want the reward. And we believe this is a situation where Edison itself has confirmed what the citizens and environmental community were saying about the amazing defects in the technology that occurred when this new system was put in. When Edison shut down the plant on June 7th, it prepared a legal filing against Mitsubishi, the manufacturer of the equipment, and that filing read exactly like the concerns we had been expressing about defects that were so severe they couldn't be corrected. They even used the word lemon. And we had used it sparingly, but to hear it from Edison was pretty amazing. And I will admit the one question that's sort of disturbing is why did Edison try so hard to restart the plant when they knew that the defects in the technology were as severe as they were, and said as much as soon as they shut down the plant? That was a pretty amazing moment. Ray also referred to the decommissioning fund. Frankly, even though the ratepayer issues are big in this situation with regard to who bears the cost of a $750 million technology failure, the decommissioning fund issues are much bigger because, as Ray mentioned, there has been collected from all of us over the life of the plant about $4 billion. And it could be spent over a period as long as 60 years under Nuclear Regulatory Commission rules. This puts a huge responsibility on the Public Utilities Commission, which has the authority to determine how that money is spent. The Regulatory Commission at the national level is focused on safety. Our own California Public Utilities Commission is focused on economic fairness. They will determine how that $4 billion is spent and whether it becomes a revenue stream to grow the company or is applied to the extremely challenging job of a clean and safe, environmentally responsible shutdown at San Onofre. So we're here to ask the PUC to step up to the line for a responsibility that may be the biggest it's ever had on any issue, $4 billion in a 60-year time frame, and to keep the faith of the people of California. And at the same time, in the shorter term, to fairly allocate the burdens of a gigantic failure where there was a lack of due diligence on the part of management, even to the point where they didn't secure insurance coverage on this failed equipment beyond about a 20 or 25% cost of the system. So that's why we're here. The Sierra Club is an environmental organization, but in this case, the environmental outcome is inextricably connected with how the finances are managed. Thanks, Ray.
Hey, sir, before you...
Yes.
Say and spell your name again, please.
Right, it's Glenn with 2 N's, and last name is Pascal, P-A-S-C-A-L-L. And I brought copies of what I just said with my contact and with the LA Sierra Club contact. I should mention the Angeles chapter is Los Angeles and Orange counties, representing 40,000 Sierra Club members. We also know that thousands more members in San Diego, Riverside, and San Bernardino County chapters are very concerned and are following this issue. But I will leave you hard copy on this with the details and the contact information.
Well, let me just say that if you research this a bit more, as we have, we've discovered that Southern California Edison seems to have known all about these defects in advance. They knew that they were trying to supercharge these steam generators. They knew that they were trying to avoid NRC approval, and they had oversight over the project that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries was doing. And so we think that they're culpable for the entire amount. There should not be any participation in the ratepayer in this big blunder because they were responsible for the whole thing. So we got about $1 billion of the steam generator project to make sure we get back, and another $4 billion and we want to make sure is spent right. So we're looking at a $5 billion issue right here, which is a pretty big amount of money for the ratepayers in just Southern California. Now, I'd like to introduce someone who's actually lives very close to the plant and has been extremely active in this, and she runs a website called San Onofre Safety, and her name is Donna Gilmore. Donna, come on up.
Hi, my name is Donna Gilmore. I've been researching San Onofre for a few years. Just this September, the NRC issued a document, and I can provide a handout, saying that Edison, in the early design stages, was aware of the problem and yet went ahead with the design. And it's all about time and profit and money, and I have a handout to share. Page 25 in the inspection report, one paragraph in there says it all. And Mitsubishi's probably going to want this because it really makes Edison liable. So ratepayers should not have to pay anything. It should be all on Edison to deal with. If Mitsubishi's going to give them money, that's their business, but we shouldn't have to pay a dime for this. And if the Public Utility Commission rewards Edison for this boondoggle, what kind of message does that send to the utilities? I used to live in Sacramento. We had about the cheapest rates in the whole, electric rates in the whole country. I moved down to San Diego Gas and Electric, and now I've got the highest rates, and I don't even use an air conditioner. So one of the other handouts, I did a comparison with San Diego Gas and Electric and Edison, compared to the municipal utility districts, the two largest ones, which is SMUD, Sacramento Utility District, and LA DWP, the Los Angeles Municipal. Our rates are about 50% higher than SMUD's in LA. You know, why are they 50? It's insane, and it needs to stop. The PUC needs to start doing their job. I mean, we came close to a meltdown with those steam generators. Do they actually have to kill some people before the PUC does its job?
Donna, can you spell your name and tell us where you live?
Donna Gilmore, D-O-N-N-A, Gilmore, G-I-L-M-O-R-E. I live in San Clemente, California, which is still in the San Diego Gas and Electric utility districts. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that the reason that we got so far ahead in our research is because Southern California Edison published from their engineering staff a disclosure about everything that they tried to sneak through on these steam generators in January 2012, just before they failed. And they were all this glamorous talk about how good they were, how they were able to sneak around the approvals of the NRC, and they disclosed all of the changes that were inappropriate that they made, and the reason that they were trying to push this to make more profits, of course, and at the cost of safety and money, in fact, to the ratepayers. So when you push the envelope like that, you know, you've got to realize you're going to be subject to taking the risk. I think, is that about any other speakers? You want to say a word? Make it brief.
Hi, my name is Hugh Moore. I'm speaking for the San Diego County Green Party. The other speakers have made it pretty clear about the reasons why we feel that the stockholders, SDG&E and Southern California Edison, should bear most of the risk and loss on this project. Just one other add thing to say about that is, we ask people to put in their money into building public utilities because it's a public good. Everyone needs to have a utility. It's been a system that has worked tremendously well. It is protected. Those people who put those funds in to help us build public utilities do it because it is greatly protected. The CPU makes sure that rates are high enough to cover the investment so they'll get a payback. All of these things are guaranteed and watched very closely, except for one thing: corporate malfeasance and negligence. And that's unfortunately what's happened here, is that Southern California Edison and SDG&E have not followed through on their responsibility and have become negligent. When that's the case, the public, the ratepayer, cannot be held accountable for those losses, and that's when the risk, as Ray was talking about earlier, comes out of the people who put investments in it. It may very well be appropriate that the CPUC protect that they get those monies back, but they don't get their profit. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That was Hugh Moore,
H-U-G-H-M-O-O-R-E.
M-O-R-E with an E at the end. So I guess that about wraps it up for what we want to say. We're continuing to push the concept of a Citizens Oversight Panel, or COP, that will be, we hope, authorized to oversee this decommissioning process and the $4 billion that we need to watch. It's standard with high school districts, hospital districts, and everywhere else, and so far the CPUC does not do this. They do not have a citizen. What they do is every 3 years, they come and they try to retroactively take a look at what was done. And the utilities want to say that if they made it within the budget, everything is fine. Just, you don't have to look at details. And we think that that's not even the right way to run things. We should be able to look at everything as it comes forward and make sure those contracts are right and there's no money that's being shoveled into somebody's pocket, because they'll do it if they get a chance. Okay, again, my name was Ray Lutz, and with Citizens Oversight, and we're sponsoring the Coalition to Decommission San Onofre, and we are parties in the CPUC proceeding. Unfortunately, some of us will not be able to speak here today because they're saying no parties can speak at this. No people that are official party representatives can speak, so I'm probably not going to be able to speak myself inside. Therefore, we have a press conference. No, I can say something. But any questions?
What response are you hoping for today?
Well, they don't respond much to this type of meeting. here to sit down. They don't usually respond much, to these meetings. They just, I'll be perfectly frank with you, these meetings are just to keep the public appeased and not up in arms too much. And so nothing really much happens at these meetings. They just do it because they're required by law to do so. But I still think, they're subjected to the comments of the public, and if the entire public comes in and says, a certain direction, they're gonna take notice. And so they're gonna be mostly listening here today. Up at the CPUC proceedings, which are occurring later this month, from the 7th through the 19th that week, and the 21st through the 25th that week, are the investigation into the steam generator problem, and the second one is the decommissioning triennial review, which is that once every 3-year review. The Coalition to Decommission San Onofre is a party in both of those proceedings now, so we get to cross-examine their witnesses, demand information from the utilities and so forth, and that's why they don't let us come to this meeting. But it gives us a good opportunity to make sure that at least, and we're asking for, by the way, officially at that meeting that they established the Citizens Oversight Panel. So, no, nothing, I'll just be honest with you, nothing much happens at these meetings. It's important for the public to come in, though, really important, and voice their opinion, and then we hope the commissioners will think about which direction they're ruling on these things. If the public doesn't show up and no one comes to these meetings, guess what? The utilities get their way every single time. And they almost do anyway, because the commissioner, the lead commissioner of this is a former Edison executive. The chairman of the commission is a former Edison executive. So guess what? His friends come in, ask for money, he's an old pal, and he usually does it their way. This is an organization that's been cited in the San Bruno explosion as one of the worst run organizations. They have a multi-billion-dollar budget in California, and so...
Excuse me, Ray?
Yeah.
He's the former executive of Pacific Gas and Electric, which is the counterpart for Edison. Well, but the San Bruno, hold on a second, the San Bruno explosion was PG&E.
Yeah, that San Bruno explosion was up north.
And
Too much detail.
Ray, you might mention that this is really unique because we work very hard to have this meeting here. They're usually in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a good point. They usually do not come to San Diego or Southern California. We have to go up to San Francisco to participate in those other meetings. We try to get those evidentiary hearings down here because we think the public would be very interested in going. But of course, they don't want to have them down here because it would be too much pressure on the public. So they keep them up there. Okay, more questions? We're done otherwise. Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, man with the lemon pitcher, can you come out this way a little bit so we can see it over here? Thank you.
The thing with the lemon is Edison's agreeing with us now. Edison is trying to blame Mitsubishi, and they referred to the steam generators as lemons, which is what we were claiming back at the first NRC meeting. So Edison's agreeing with us, the steam generators are lemons.